Yo, I don't want to work forever, and this is a topic, as I get older, the more and more I think about this, I'm 39 years old, and lately I've been asking myself this question. If I keep doing the same thing that I'm doing right now, where I'm going to be at in the next 10 years? Because the truth is this, I don't want to wake up one day and realize, I'm still trading time for money because I never built another option. And, maybe you felt this way too. You get paid, the bill comes in, the gas, the food, the insurance. Then you look at your account and you wonder where everything went. That's what people mean when they talk about the paycheck trap. And if I'm being honest, I spent years in it myself. Not because I was lazy and not because I was working hard. It was actually the opposite. I was working hard and still wondering if I was getting ahead. For a long time, I thought making more money would solve everything. If I get a raise, if I can work more overtime, if I could, bring in more income, everything would be fine. But you know what, y'all? Eventually, I realized something. The more money that I was making wasn't fixing the problem, y'all. The real problem was that I didn't have a plan. A money without a plan disappears. I done proved that to myself more than once. Then I had to accept something that was hard to hear. Nobody's coming to save me. Not my employer, not the government, not some lucky break, right? If my future was going to look different, I was going to have to make different decisions. That realization changed how I looked at money. I stopped focusing on what I earned, and I focused on what I kept. I started paying attention to where my money was actually going and paying attention to the habits, because them habits create results. The little things don't seem important right now, but over time they add up. And eventually those small decisions become your life. And that's when I started to take and building wealth more seriously. Not because I wanted to be rich or have luxury cars or trying to impress anybody. I want freedom. And that's what it's all about. Freedom. The freedom to have options. The freedom to know if something happens, I'm not completely dependent on one paycheck. The freedom to be able to have more time, to have things to do with the people I care about, have freedom to help the people that I love, the freedom to sleep a little better at night. That's what I'm chasing. And honestly, I think a lot of people are chasing the same thing. Most people don't want a Lamborghini or a mansion. Most people, I believe, want just a little bit more breathing room. They want to be able to stop stressing over every bill that shows up. They want to be able to feel like, that one emergency, is not going to knock everything off track. And that's what I want too. Now is that I'm actually doing something about it. I'm investing consistently. I'm paying closer to what I'm spending. I'm trying to build better habits. I'm looking for ways to create income that isn't directly tied to my time. And none of that is going to happen overnight. I understand that. And I'm not sitting here pretending like I got everything figured out, because I haven't. I'm still learning. I'm still making the mistakes. I'm still trying to improve. But at least now I feel like I'm moving forward instead of just standing still. And that's a huge difference, y'all, because standing still was exhausting. Working hard with no clear direction was exhausting. Feeling like I was running in place was exhausting. Now I have a plan. It may not be perfect, but it's mine. And every month I'm trying to get a little bit closer to that life I want. So if you're watching this and you're feeling stuck, I get it. If you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, I get that too. And if you're worried about working forever, trust me, I get that. But here's what I learned, y'all. Nobody's coming to save us. And at some point, we got to make a decision. We either going to keep doing the same thing and hope life change, or we're going to start changing our actions. One decision at a time, one habit at a time, one paycheck at a time. And that's what I'm trying to do, y'all. And that's what this channel is really about. It's about a regular guy trying to build his future in real time. And if you're trying to do the same thing, subscribe and follow the journey. And let's see where this goes. Fix your mind, you fix your money, you fix your life. I'll catch y'all in the next one.